So I think open for networks is incredibly important, and to understand why, I think you just have to look at how different today we're administering servers on one side and networks on the other side. You know, if you go back 15 years, servers were actually closed, right? You would buy a Spark station from Sun with a Spark chip and Solaris and the whole system from one vendor, right? And today, you know, you have PCs, you can pick your operating system, you can pick your virtualization layer, you have a lot of different choices. And this has made a huge change in how we administer these systems, right? It used to be that installing, for example, the software on a server was something that required a terminal that you would plug into the server, you'd have a CD, you insert the CD, and a couple of hours later, the server was installed. And today, it takes a couple of clicks to spin up a virtual machine. Now compare that to networking. To configure a computer network 15 years ago, you would take a terminal, you would type enable, configure, and a couple of commands, very cryptic with CLI. Today, most organizations are still configuring networks the same way, right? We have made very, very little progress. And I think having more open networks, with APIs, with more of a DevOps mindset, and frankly, with a faster speed of innovation because of the disaggregation, there'll be a huge step forward in allowing you to manage networks in a much more flexible way. So I was in 2008 to 2010 at Stanford, running the OpenFlow project, and one of our key mantras back then was to say it's time to innovate in your network, right? The most networking equipment today is closed, and if you want to change the functionality, there's very little you can do. And today that has changed. I mean, we have, and interestingly enough, in two different ways, right? We have on one side, bare metal switches where you can load software on them. We have on the other side, you can run a network virtualization that just sits on top of the network. And both solutions ultimately provide you, as a customer, with a way to pick the software that runs your network independently from the hardware, right? I think it's a huge step ahead, and I honestly think this will start the golden age for networking, because now suddenly, as a network administrator, you have all the tools, all the power, all the flexibility that the server guys have had for a long time to automate it, to reduce your error rates, to become more flexible, and ultimately, keep the users of your network happier.